This is Arts Alive. I'm Lynda Philippi. My guest is Jenny Berg, the director of the McMinnville Public Library. Jenny is here to talk to us today about a very exciting development for McMinnville. Welcome.
Hi, Lynda.
Hi.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm so glad you could be here, and I'm so glad that you're here to talk about this most exciting development. So why don't you just dive right in?
Sure. Well, we have been working for about a year to enhance the entrance to the library. The library plaza is what it's referred to as. And we've been working with the Ford Institute Leadership Group, which is part of the Ford Family Foundation and the Library Foundation.
Right.
Thank you for being part of that. And now the Oregon Community Foundation as well, to beautify the entrance to the library, make it seem more as part of the library, including literary elements and educational elements, some color and lighting there. And the new exciting development is that we received a grant from the Oregon Community Foundation for $20,000 to put towards the project, which is very wonderful.
That's
and
so exciting,
Yeah.
and I know it's such a lot of work to do grant writing, and then there's that period of you send it off, and then you just cross your fingers.
Yes.
And then you try not to think about it, but you're so nervous and excited, and then you get the word, and then you're like, it happened.
Yeah.
That's-
And I
yeah.
got the check in the mail today,
That is-
literally. So phone call about a week ago and the check today, which made it was not one of those giant checks. I wish
Yeah.
it was. But
Yeah.
they will be, a representative from the Oregon Community Foundation will be coming to the city council meeting on December 9th. And
Oh,
I'll
nice.
give a little bit more information about the project. And,
Okay.
And they're doing a very quick ceremony of sorts.
Sure, okay, that's
Yeah.
great.
I think still there's not going to be a big check.
No, probably not. Well, we could always create one if necessary,
Yeah.
I mean, just for a photo op.
Yes.
So how is the project going to unfold then? Why don't you go through the steps?
So it has been a learning experience for me because it's taken a lot longer than I originally expected, but now I realize that that's just how things go. And I'm okay with that, and and everyone else seems okay with it as well. So we did early on this year, the Ford Institute Leadership Group conducted a survey of users, and we got a lot of feedback about what the public wants, wanting more color and light and some art and things. And then we've moved the project forward. It still has been in its planning stages, but I've been working with an architect and the Library Foundation, and we have a library plaza advisory committee. So we've all been working with this architect to come up with some plans. And what I'm really excited about is this plan to have large concrete pavers, colorful concrete pavers. They're going to be about 1 foot by 4 feet.
Okay.
And they'll be engraved to look like book spines. Oh. So, and we're starting to work on a project where we'll get donors to purchase these pavers, and then they'll be installed. And that's, hopefully we'll get that information about the pavers and get information out to donors within the next couple of weeks. And but then they need to be made and engraved and things, and hopefully installed sometime next year. So it's a big ongoing project. We're talking about a good 240 plus concrete pavers, of which we're going to have possibly 80 of them engraved. And they'll have, they'll stretched out, and they'll have engraving on the top and engraving on the bottom, and a title of a book, and then the name of the donor.
Okay.
And I think it'll look really great.
I think it will too.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be whimsical. It's going to be fun. It's going to draw people in. I mean, that's the whole goal.
Yes, and the idea that I think I always really enjoy the bricks that people have, and of course the playground that has all the names of community members. What I like about these pavers is they're so much bigger, so it's not going to be as much of a trial to come to find your name. It'll be there in really large font, but of course the pavers are also going to be more expensive than a brick might be, but they'll cover a lot more. Cover a lot more surface area.
They're more impressive.
Yes.
I love it. So it's it's by this. You pay by the square inch, so to speak.
Yes, right.
It's going to be good though. So it'll be colorful and lots of art and lighting and
Right.
the fountains there, right?
Yeah. Well, this is going to be on the other side of the fountain. But one of the other things that we've worked on, and this was the Ford Institute Leadership Program is run by the Ford Family Foundation, and they have done one of these leadership programs in every town in Yamhill County. And the group goes through classes and training about community, about volunteerism, about leadership, and then they pick a project. And I was very excited that they picked the library as their project, the Library Plaza, and they are working with a mosaic artist to create a very large mosaic that will look like a pond with lily pads in it.
Right, okay,
And then we
yeah.
already have the frog sculpture
Right.
that was donated to the library, and so that will live out there as well. So that's going to be another part of the Plaza project, which, as you say, it's going to add color and whimsy.
The whole thing just is kind of like a wraparound. It's going to look really
Yes.
good when it's finished.
Yeah. The
So-
hope is that it will be, like I said, an extension of the library, and it will be clear when people walk in there that oh, this is part of the library, and this is an area that promotes literacy, and that hopefully will be a enticing place to spend some time in. Maybe not like with the weather we've had the last couple of weeks,
yeah.
but certainly during the summer it will be
Sure,
a
of
beautiful
course.
place to hang out in and read and listen to the music that's playing out in the plaza right now.
So, when do you think the grand ceremony is going to be? Is there like a tentative timeline? I know things never really go like you think they will.
Yeah, not at all, and that is
Yeah.
what, as I said, the learning experience for me has been that, oh, this takes a lot more time than I thought it would. I certainly hope that we break ground next year, hopefully sometime in the spring. But I've learned the hard way that it's
Well, you know
tough
what,
to
but
decide.
now you have a lot done. I mean, there's a lot in
Yes.
place. There's some money, and that gives
Right.
so sort of the whole, what do you want to say, capital campaign to go out and get the rest of the money for
Yes.
for all the other pieces that are going to come in. So within a couple of years,
Yeah.
it should be
Oh,
finished.
definitely. Yes, the planning and the fundraising were the parts that were happening that were not necessarily really visible.
Behind the scenes. Yeah.
It's wasn't the same as just getting a couple gallons of paint and painting things, and you'll see it right away. So,
Right.
but the planning and the fundraising has been obviously a very important part of the process, and so I do think you're right. We're poised to break ground this coming year and make a lot of visual changes in this coming year.
It's going to be great.
Yeah.
So Jenny, why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the other things that you have going on, maybe for the next, upcoming couple months?
Sure. I was particularly thinking, because of this being an art program, to think about some of the artistic programs that we have coming up at the library.
Oh, good, okay.
We're always about community engagement, community connection and involvement. One of my favorite programs that the library has every year is the Young Artists Craft Fair.
Oh, how fun.
And that's coming up on December 2nd. And I love it from what it provides the kids, but I also end up buying a bunch of Christmas presents there.
How fun.
There'll be usually some kids that are making some homemade dog bones or dog biscuits, and there's always some knitting projects. Have some really cute mittens and a cute little knitted purse that I bought in past years, and always lots of yummy treats. And so this is about the kids. They have to come to the library and present what they're going to make, and they have to apply for a spot, and the spot's filled up in 2 days.
Wow.
This year.
That's great.
And then they have time to make their project. They are also in charge of what are they going to charge for the project or for their art, and so it's a really great learning experience.
Oh,
We
it
talk
is.
about it in
Yeah.
terms of literacy. It's economic literacy and business literacy,
Sure.
and as we all know, there's one thing about creating your art. There's quite another thing about getting out there and selling your art. Yes,
Absolutely.
and so they're through it from the beginning to the end. They set up their own booths and make change. And it's, I remember last year coming up to some girls who I think had been making, they'd made bookmarks, and I bought a number of bookmarks, and they had, it was 1 for $5 or 3 for 10 or something like that, and that they had to go through and do the math and then make the change for me. And it was a great thing to see that part of the process, that I know that a lot of kids, they certainly learn from it, as well as it being a really fun event.
And really
It's
adorable
great.
too, yeah.
Yes, yeah,
So-
oh my gosh. I have the most adorable little crafts and stuffed animals and
Cute.
knitted finger puppets and things.
how
Just
fun.
I really encourage people to come out to
So
that.
that'll be on December 2nd, you said?
Yes.
Which is like a
yes.
Tuesday or something.
Yeah, it's the Tuesday after Thanksgiving
Mm-hmm.
weekend. So if they have procrastinated, they have Thanksgiving weekend to knit like crazy to make
I
their
see.
finger
Okay,
puppets
you're right.
or whatever. So yeah, it's the Tuesday from 5 to 7 in the
Okay, and
the
then,
library.
so, like, in terms of breaks and things like that, school breaks, and does the library pretty much stay open? You're obviously closed on Thanksgiving. and-
We are closed Thanksgiving and the day after Thanksgiving, and then we're closed on Christmas Day and
Right.
New Year's Day.
But other than
otherwise-
that, during school holidays and things, you're open.
Oh, yeah.
Library is a great resource.
Yes, and just a great place to come and hang out and, find a good book, use the computers, that sort of thing.
And aren't you doing some programs there on Sundays?
We are, yeah. Actually, there's some very exciting things that are coming up in the beginning of the year. We have a conversation project, which is through the Oregon Humanities. They have a whole bunch of different conversation projects that you can choose from, and we've got 4 coming up on the 2nd and 4th Sundays in January and February, where there's an expert there to make a sort of a presentation, but then it's opened up and it's supposed to be a discussion, not a, so it's called the Conversation Project, where the community gets together and talks about these ideas, and it's not just a lecture series.
So the presenter it has a topic. And
Yeah.
then the community gets together and discusses the topic. Okay, I see.
Yes, and I
like it.
actually wanted to, because I'm really
Yeah.
excited about these
Okay.
topics, but I couldn't remember them right
Yeah.
offhand. So we have on January 11th, We Are What We Eat, Connecting Food and Citizenship.
Perfect.
And then we have The Power of Play, which is based on studies about children and adults both benefiting in lots of different ways from play. And that's an interactive session, which I think will
fun.
be
Okay.
interesting. Why Aren't There More Black People in Oregon is the one that starts on February 8th, and that will go into some of the history of things and then be an interesting discussion. And Going Solo, The Value of Solitude in a Social World. And so these are really topics that really do introduce and invite discussion from the community.
Absolutely. That's wonderful. You have a lot going on.
Yes, and that just scratches the surface, but
I'm
very
sure.
exciting things.
Well, thank you very much for being here today. It's exciting to hear about the Park Plaza project and then also the conversations. I love that. People, I think, sometimes think you have to be real quiet in a library, but this
Not
is a
at
nice
all, yeah.
opportunity to open up. So thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Lynda.